Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. They offer a wide selection of high-quality plants, landscaping materials, and home decor. They do amazing high-quality work and can help you transform your indoor and outdoor living spaces into something beautiful. So stop by Casey's Outdoor Solutions today and let them know you appreciate their support for Rock Solid Radio. Visit Casey's today at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. Hey, this is Merrill Hutchinson, and here I sit with my business partner, my best friend, my girlfriend, my wife, and my mentor.
What?
All sitting in one chair. How about that? How about that? All five of you sitting in one chair.
Does that mean I'm schizophrenic? And I'm like, I have multiple personalities? Or
you know what it does mean? It means I better get some headphones on here.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
There you go.
I was like, why don't I hear you very well?
I like, if you're not watching today,
Yes.
You're not seeing Merle's little sporting his red shirt, Cincinnati red shirt.
Well,
What's up with that?
It's a new season. A new day has dawned.
Actually, that's a perfect segue to our
sometimes I think
today.
ahead. Not very often, but sometimes I think ahead.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good. How was your Easter?
You beat me. You go first. How was yours?
It was beautiful. I'm so thankful for spring weather. God bless it.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for
nice.
sunshine.
It was nice. Hanging out.
Yeah.
Just being outside was good.
And the blooms are starting to come on the trees. And we had a frost the other night. I was like, no, please, God, no. We want some fresh start. We want some new life to come into our yard.
And you say to me the day of or late afternoon, are you going to put some blankets around the trees and their blooms? And you know, here I am, a biology major and supposed to, and I'm like, no, they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
What's really bad is our neighbors did that,
but
they never took them off through the day.
No,
and I kind of heard that was like bad news. Like that kills the tree if you don't take them off after the
tree is still sleeping.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
What are we talking about today
So
anyway?
today we're going to talk about, Easter has come. And it has gone, but in its leaving, it has left us with our topic today, and that is a fresh start, a new beginning.
Oh.
And we're going to talk about this for a variety of different reasons, but mostly it's going to be an application to where we are in our life and the idea that sometimes you just need a fresh start. Yeah. And people don't realize that. Like they just keep banging the old square peg in the round hole. Yeah. And the frustration and just, the depression that can come from that. Like I've been doing this for years.
Old habits. Yeah. And actually we have a lot of people who come to Rock Solid Families, walk in our doors because they're ready for a fresh start. They have been doing those old habits or dealing with those old chains that have been shackling them for years. And so we're really going to talk about that today. And so if that's you or someone you know, we hope that you'll tune in, and I think there will be something for you today. But before we do that, we need to thank our sponsors.
Let's do that. Let's thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for being a partner with Rock Solid Radio and being just a tremendous community guy. So, Casey, we want to thank you, and we hope that your spring season is starting off strong.
Sure it is.
Also, we want to thank Maxwell Construction Company, and I know their season is starting strong because we get to drive by one of their big projects every day here at where our kids go to school. So those guys are working hard, and the idea that they believe in this message and believe in helping their community. So please just support those guys. They're good people.
Speaking of fresh starts, we thought we would challenge our listeners with a fresh start in our gym,
Yes.
Even though it may be pretty outside, maybe some of you are not ready to get out with that bathing suit or that pair of shorts. Yeah, spring break was kind of ugly this year.
What do you guys call that? A wrap or what do you?
What?
Like when you put your swimsuit on and then you put this little
like a cover-up.
A cover-up.
A cover-up,
So,
yes. I was searching for a new cover-up this spring break.
You think you're going to wear a cover-up, honey?
So we're hoping.
There are some guys that should wear cover-ups.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
Not me, but
no. So we are doing a fresh start actual special in our gym. So instead of the normal $70 for 10 classes, we're offering a special in the month of April where you can get 10 classes for $60. So that's a savings and hopefully a beginning of a fresh start.
Yeah. So normally we try to tip something off like this at the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden February comes and March comes and people kind of fade off. And so we're going to give a shot in the arm, maybe like even a vaccination.
Oh.
Yes.
We did sign up for our vaccinations.
And we're going to get a fresh start. Yes. And so anyway, come out and join us at our Rock Solid Families Gym and join us for what finishing is. Also, I've got a new product in there. I've got a new product.
Your guys kind of shake like,
sometimes the brain doesn't sleep, and I love creating and building.
Sometimes your brain doesn't sleep?
Once in a while. Yeah. And I've created a new product, and it's just really super cool. Allows us to do a lot of really neat exercises, and so our guys are starting to put their hands on that. So if you're interested, come on out and see what we have, because nobody else in any other gym has it, because our gym has a couple of those things.
Because Merrill invented it. We also want to thank everyone out there for really spreading the word about the work that we're doing. Thank you for sharing our shows and referring people in. I can't just tell you how many people have come because of your encouragement or your sharing of this show or one of our posts. So thank you. And we're growing. We have some growing pains. Some of our numbers are bigger than we've ever seen in the 3 years we've been in ministry. And so we're just thankful for you coming alongside us and partnering with us in this mission of strong and healthy families and couples and individuals. So if we can help you or someone maybe in this show kind of draws up some things for you or someone you love, then I encourage you to go to rocksolidfamilies.org, or you can call us at our office at 812-576-ROCK. That's 812-576-7625.
You got it. Okay, so as we were talking about this topic, I have a story that always brings me to this. And like today, I was even working on some equipment, some of my farm implements.
Oh, your new toys.
And sometimes when you work on equipment and stuff, you just get frustrated. Like maybe if you bang it a little harder, it'll work out. But I remember a time, hon, this was actually at our first house. And you remember our first house. Our first house was about 100 years old. It was an old farmhouse that had been kind of rehabbed multiple times. And we wanted to put ceiling fans in it. And so we went out and the day or whatever before and bought like 3 or 4 ceiling fans. We're going to put them in bedrooms and the family room because there was no air conditioning. And
I know that people will be surprised. Like there are houses that don't have air conditioning.
No air conditioning. Yeah. And so I started hanging these one evening and said, okay, I'm going to get all these ceiling fans up. And some of them had light fixtures and stuff. And I started knocking those out, and the night was getting longer. And finally, I'm on the last one. And I am like, holding this, I'll say.
And I'm not being much of a help either.
I'll say I'm, holding this 300-pound fan. Actually not, but it felt like it. I'm like, things just aren't going right. And I just can't seem to get the stupid thing to go up and to fit and everything. And I'm like, I'm fighting this thing. And I'm finally, I don't know what time, but it's late. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. And I go upstairs, go to sleep. And as I'm walking down the stairs the next morning, I look up. Now, this is after beating my head against the wall for hours. I look up, I see the ceiling, the hanging box, and I'm like, oh, that's not even on right. And I immediately got my drill, fixed it, put it up, and I fixed it all within like 20 minutes. And I was so happy that I fixed it, but I was so angry that it took, like, I had to step away from it. I had to step away. I had to get a fresh look because my brain was all wrapped around what I thought it was supposed to be, and I was tired. And it just, that is kind of the just of where we're going today. Like sometimes you just keep hitting it harder and you wonder why it doesn't work.
Yeah. I have quite a few clients who are in college, and now with this e-learning and this COVID, they're doing everything remotely online, and it's hours and hours and hours of just sitting in front of a screen. And so part of my encouragement to them is you got to get up every 20 minutes. You got to get up. You got to at least go get the mail, go walk around the house, go get a drink, go to the restroom, maybe take a little nap. Like those things are going to give you just a reset and a fresh start for something that maybe you just feel stuck.
Yeah.
You can't figure out a way out. So that's a big part where we're going to talk about today. But, hun, how many of you out there listening have been frustrated or unsettled in something in your life? And so I think day after day, sometimes you get these old feelings. And sometimes we don't really realize that maybe we need to realize we're in the red zone. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by the red zone is that
well, that's why I wear the shirt. That's see.
There you go.
Connecting the dots again.
But no, I use this acronym, and actually, I learned it in counseling, and many of you probably have heard of it before. But it's HALT. Okay, and when you're in the red zone, you gotta halt and you gotta do something different. And hun, think about this when you were to put up those ceiling fans. Mm-hmm. HALT is an acronym for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And you were probably 3 or 4 out of those.
I was 4. I was lonely, the whole deal.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too, like, you can have some parts of your life going really well and other parts not going so well. And you get stuck by everything else in my life seems to be going well. But that one part that's holding you back seems to put a color into everything else. And so what we really want to, we're going to be challenging and encourage you a little bit to look at that part that you're feeling stuck, because if we put a little bit of a plan in how we're going to get through that and address whether we're just tired of it, it's beating us up. Right. Maybe it's in our marriage. Maybe it's with our kids. Maybe it's our finances. Maybe it's our job. Maybe it's our education. Whatever it is, it's just that one part that is consuming you because it seems broke and you're not fixing it well.
So I'm going to speak out there to all the moms, the working moms that are listening right now or watching, okay? Can I just tell you that sometimes we have got to recognize that we are in the red zone, that we are trying to be the wife and the mom and the employee and the Christ follower and the neighbor and the friend and all those things. And we are so overwhelmed and we are lashing out at the closest thing there. And sometimes it's our spouse and they become the whipping post. Not that you've ever experienced this before.
No. Go on to the next point.
But my point is that really evaluate, is it your spouse or is it the fact that you're overwhelmed and that you are so exhausted trying to do it all that maybe there needs just to be taking something off your plate. And it's not giving up your marriage, okay? It maybe is, going part-time or getting someone to help clean your house. Or maybe it's a day off during the week so that you can get something done or take a break. Yeah. You just don't realize it.
So let's talk a little bit about how we can help listeners actually get somewhat of a system of recognizing the stuckness, right? And then needing like this fresh start. So the first thing, like you said, hun, is just like recognizing you're using the term red zone. I all the time using the term the emotions. I'm in the emotions. Yeah. Like my emotions are now taking over versus like I'm getting angry at this fan or I'm getting tired.
Which is red. You're turning red of just
I'm just red with anger. Yeah. And so the first thing, guys, when you feel stuck in a place in life, whether it's your job, whether it's your marriage, you got to step back and you have to take a break. Yeah. You have to become in tune with your emotional state of mind. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care how emotional you are or how emotional you don't seem to be. When you shut down, a lot of times guys are accused of not being emotional. When a man shuts down and just goes quiet, that's an emotional reaction. Yeah. He doesn't know what else to do.
Emotionless.
Yeah, and so he just sort of, this is overwhelming me. I'm just going to shut it down. Yeah. And so the first thing we have to do is we have to take a break. We have to step away. What does that look like in my work? Maybe this is why weekends are so good,
vacations,
right? That's why vacations. Maybe I have to go talk to my boss and say, I just have to be honest. My head's not right. I'm not in the game. I don't have that enthusiasm. I don't have that energy. I need to do something a little different. Okay. What about marriage? How do you take a break in marriage?
That's a great question.
That's not cool, right?
Yeah. Well, this is where timeouts come from too. Yeah. To let your emotions calm down.
In the moment, like if I actually have kind of that emotional blow up or we hit that red zone in the moment, then we actually call that like put yourself in timeout, take a break. But if you are in a place like in your marriage where you're like, we've been going for a long time and just feel like we're living in 2 separate lives in one house, coexisting, these kind of things that come to mind, then this is a time where you take a break in terms of your expectation, all right? you back up like, what am I doing here? What is my expectation? And why am I constantly frustrated? So you just step back and let the dust settle. Honestly, hun, you and I know that this is critical if we can get you and your spouse to both come and say, yeah, we both feel the same stuck. We both feel like something's not right. Because if one does it, and especially if it's a marriage thing, then it's like, well, it's your problem. It's not mine. You fix yourself. So if we can, we definitely want to go down the road of saying, hey, is this a conversation that both of you can have?
Yeah.
And if it is, let's just have it, and let's start talking about where our expectations are, and let's put a break on them for a second.
And if you and your spouse or you and your family can't agree that there is a problem, then seek outside counsel. Get an outside perspective to help you get some clarity and some understanding as to where are these emotions coming from.
Yeah.
Are you tired? Are you overwhelmed? Are you angry and bitter and resentful? So those are really and don't jump back into it until you figured out how to keep yourself from slipping back into that bad habit, into those ugly, dark places.
Sometimes we are so fooled. This happens to us all the time in any recovery process, whether I'm recovering from a hurt knee or whatever. We jump back into full activity too quickly.
You're
we
not
see this
speaking out of a personal experience, are you?
Yeah, pretty much. I am.
Your knee replacement?
Yeah. And so we start to feel better. We have some good days. This happens all the time in our marriage therapy work that we do, our coaching work, that we will come out of a session, the couple that we're with, and we're all like, yes, we've turned the corner, and everybody's just doing great. And then all of a sudden, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, they come back in for a follow-up, or you even get a phone call, and it's like,
bad habits.
Okay, we're back in a worse spot.
Yeah.
And that taking a break and then jumping back too early without a good plan is oftentimes reckless.
Yeah.
So you've got to have a plan of how you're going to go back, and then start to set the new expectations of what you're looking for.
And maybe it's not that you're working out of the red zone. Maybe there isn't those things, but maybe there's some junk in your trunk. Maybe there's something from your past.
What junk? What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, we just drag this trunk of junk from relationship to relationship, or job to job, or marriage to marriage, and we think that it's going to be better this time, fresh start, right? And we've never really unchained ourselves from the past, whether it be your own mistakes, whether it be something someone has done to you and you've never let go of that and forgiven them for it. So humans have a tendency to replay past mistakes in their mind over and over and over again, and it turns out to be chains around their neck or around their ankle, and they wonder why they're overwhelmed. They wonder why they're dragging and they have no energy or no motivation, and sometimes it's because we've not found freedom from our past.
Yeah, and bad experiences taint us and develop into these small phobias or whatever that, well, I've had a bad experience, so I'm not going to do that again. And so it just all of a sudden the future opportunities get shut down. Yeah. So you really have to look at those things and see how they've defined you. So your past can define your future, and that could be positive, but it oftentimes can be negative.
It doesn't have to control your future, but it does affect your future.
Yes.
And it's going to negatively affect your future if you don't get some help. So how do you get out of that? Well, the first thing is, if you have a relationship with God, turn to Him and ask Him for help. If you don't have a relationship with God, find some outside counsel to help you, whether it be a pastor or a minister. Call us at Rock Solid, because we believe it takes healing from the inside out that's going to make a difference. And then the question is, who is in your yard that has you've given the permission to hear and to listen to? And so I want them to be healthy, positive people. Mm-hmm. Don't put people in your yard, and what I mean by your yard is your life and your heart and your mind, that tell you what you want to hear. I want people that tell you what you need to hear, that will speak the truth in love. And we've talked about that in many shows, but I think that, that's where you're going to find healing, when you have people that you're surrounding yourself with who have permission to speak into your life.
And I'm going to back up just a second, because you touched on something that I think needs a little even more weight to it. Because, and I know why you did it, you kind of qualified it with, if you believe in God, then bring it to Him. And, if you're listening to this show, that we're faith-based, and that that's a huge part. And I would encourage those of you out there listen to our latest Strong Dads podcast, where Kyle and I talked about the two most important days of your life: the day you're born and the day you find out why you're born. Yeah. Because that is a day of discovering. And when I say day, it could be multiple days, weeks, years, but
season of your life.
It's a time when you find out. Okay, so it is pretty special that I'm born. Everything came together, so God created me with a purpose. Now, what is that purpose? And so when we talk about bringing it to God, we have to be really careful, because when I pray frequently, and because of my selfish self, I say, God, give me this. God, do this for me. God, how about this? God, He
doesn't answer prayers the way we want him to.
Right. And so we have to, sometimes we're stuck because we're looking for the wrong thing. And so one of our prayers needs that we start to reform in our mind is, okay, God, I am stuck. What do you want for me?
Yes.
What do you want? What is your purpose for me? How can you use me? Put me where you want me to be. And when you do that, you change your expectation completely. Yeah. And you allow God to start to direct versus you constantly trying to jam things in. Yeah. So it is a big deal. And again, those of you out there that maybe don't have a relationship with God, we're just going to tell you, I don't know how you do it, because that is kind of, we refer to that's the rudder in the water. That's the thing that gives me purpose. It gives me direction, and
brings me hope.
Yeah, that hope. So,
hon, and this doesn't have to be when you're a child. If you're an adult listening to this, I don't want you to think it's too late. Okay, we were 30 and 32 when we gave our lives to Christ, when we really transferred from our parents' faith to our own faith and made a commitment. And hon, we've never looked back. I'm not saying we've gotten it all together, but it was like, wow, the chains started to come off. The scales started to fall from my eyes as to what really is going to bring me peace and what does joy look like. And I can have freedom in him. And there is a hope of an everlasting life with him when I give my life over to him. That is a fresh start.
Yeah, taking your idea of Jesus out of the physical church that you actually walk into on Sunday and you check the box, so to speak, and actually doing life with him and letting him be in every part of your decision making, your stuckness, your marriage, your kids, because he does have purpose for us, and when we surrender like that, and that's basically what I always look at the day that you and I actually got baptized. It was a full surrender. Yeah. Which has just been so cool, And again, like you said, it's not about us having it all together. It's about the idea that we've surrendered so that we can always have the commander in chief, the leader in charge instead of us.
Did you know there's a phenomenon called the fresh start effect? That
no, I did not. Tell me more.
It's when you're more motivated to take action after you feel like there's been a slate that's been wiped clean. And so that's why New Year's Eve resolutions, are a thing, temporal landmarks. It could be a new year, it could be a birthday, it could be your anniversary, it could be a new month. It could even be a new job or a new house, or maybe, and I've had people say this before, a new counselor. Maybe they've been to counselors, maybe they've never wanted to go to counselor, and finally they pulled the trigger and they said, okay, I'm ready for a fresh start. And really that it is working. It does work.
We do every day is a fresh start. We always talk about with parents when you're disciplining kids that you don't lord over the past activities or bad actions, whatever the bad behaviors. You don't put that over their head the next day. With little kids, that you give them a fresh start each day, because that is energy. And so that's what every Monday is when I look at a traditional work week, so that's what a new year is. All of those things, they give us that spark of energy, and they're important.
Yeah.
I will throw a caution to the fresh start, though. Okay. There's two cautions, but I know you're going to probably talk about one of them. But one of the cautions that I have is sometimes we're constantly just looking for a fresh start.
Yeah.
We're constantly thinking, well, maybe tomorrow will be better. And we just keep doing the same garbage that we do. Yeah. And we see people sometimes just change job after job after job. Yeah. Change house, wife, kids. Like, well, what else do you want to change, buddy? You're killing me. So we have to be cautious with that. We're talking about people who have good intentions and are persevering a life that they feel is they're chosen for.
And that goes back to, if you go back to the same thing without changing the habits or the patterns, you're going to get the same results. I used to use that phrase: if you go around the same tree picking up the same apples, you got if you want something different, you got to go around a different tree. And so I know that's really deep, isn't it? That's
not really.
Silly.
But if you like it, I am not.
There's also another caution, is that if things are going well, if you're in a good place and you feel like you're on a roll, sometimes fresh starts almost can be detrimental. They actually have seen a negative effect. If you think things are going well, to sometimes changing a job or a house or, a career can change that and not for the good. So, but if have you been stuck and you have been dealing with issues, stop dwelling on the past, stop focusing on the mistakes and surrounding yourself with people who are just going to keep dwelling on your failures. Start fresh and focus in on some specific goals. Sometimes people, that come in our office, they're so overwhelmed by the big picture, they can't even figure out how to get some bite-sized chunks to work off of. And so we got to get some real specific, narrow goals that we can start with to kind of get some momentum under us.
Yeah. So as we roll through here, I think that there's a neat scripture here that just kind of comes to mind in Lamentations 3:22 and 23. Another cool thing, boy, let me say that one more time. Another cool thing that you see in Scripture, is that people from thousands of years ago have the same struggles that we do today. And that's, we get all wrapped in like, it's never been like this. It's never been so dark. It's never been so challenging. It's like, no. I mean, if you read God's word, you're like, people were just banging their head against the wall sometimes. And so in this particular scripture, it says, the faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning. And so that whole idea, like, as long as you're in the game, he's there. He's ready.
And actually, Lamentations was written by Jeremiah. And Jeremiah was literally called the weeping prophet because the nation of Israel was such a disarray and was so despair that Jeremiah was struggling. Is like, they're not listening to me. And so he, even in his despair, was writing this, like, God, I trust you. I trust you for the fresh start. I trust you for the new mercies that you give us each morning. And I'm going to cling to that because these people are not listening to me.
Well, I think about Moses.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, he wasn't real excited about leading these people to begin with. And,
Lord, I'm stutterer. I can't do this.
Yeah. And then, he goes up and he sees all of these people drifting back into old ways, old habits. And he's like, I'm trying to satisfy God and I'm trying to lead these people, but these people keep being people. And, this is part of life. And all of this comes down to that idea that a lot of times we get stuck because of our choices. And I think it's really important we understand that because there is empowerment in understanding that if I made the choice, that means I may have it at my fingertips to make the change.
So you bring up Moses, and I wasn't planning on talking about this. I don't have the scripture in front of me, but his father-in-law, Jethro, at one point when Moses seemed overwhelmed by the people and the fact they weren't listening to him, he literally came to Moses and said, son, don't try to do this alone.
Yeah, get some help.
You've got to get some people around you to help you. And so even his father-in-law recognized that you're going to feel overwhelmed if you are doing this by yourself. So like I said, get some people in your yard who are going to be your encouragers, your cheerleaders, but not tell you what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk about even starting our day. All right. So you come in, maybe you're in a heavy time right now. I know people who are just frustrated with their work. They don't know if they want to do this work any longer. They're just, we know people in their marriage situation like this, and every day just gets to drag on. Okay. And so we really do have to, and I know this sounds cliche, but we have to start this one day at a time.
Yep.
And we have to have a starting point. Like today, I start differently. And so, Hannah, I know you have some practices that you do we try to, unless, it blows up and then that's the start of a bad day. But what are some practices that we do or we try to do around here that help? No guarantees.
Right.
They help to set the tone.
Yeah, and if we set the tone on a majority of the days, then a majority of the time we'll feel, every morning, wake up with renewed perspective and literally imagine handing over your burdens, your worries, your mistakes, your weaknesses over to him, like laying them down. And the problem is that we a lot of times pick them back up, right? But when you do it through prayer or journaling or talking to someone, confessing, that when you say amen or when you close that journal, that you literally feel like you are letting them go, that you are putting them down, that shame, that guilt, that fear, that anger. And it does. After a time, it starts to become something that you really start to feel like it's gone. It's leaving you and you're not carrying it around.
I know you like to write, you like to journal, you do those things. And, honestly, I like to, believe it or not, I'm finding more and more that preparing for shows like this and for the Strong Dad show, I always find myself getting into a train of thought. And that is almost like, oh yeah, this has been, because I always tell people, like, when we're doing a show, whatever we're talking about is probably something in our head as well. And so we need a fresh start right now.
Exactly. So be proactive instead of reactive. Make a commitment today that you're going to shift from being the victim of your circumstances or kind of being weighed down by the past, and that you're going to get a start to that day and start fresh, and that you're going to create a new you, a new environment by no longer being the victim.
So what does it mean to be proactive versus reactive? The idea here, guys, is that you have to understand what control you have and what control you don't. And things that you have control over, get to work on them. Get to work. No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this phone call. I'm going to make this change. I'm going to things that you don't, hun. This is that thing that you talked about, like, I can't carry it anymore. That is something we let go. I have no control. It's not in my hands. And we find out raising kids, right? Like they get to these teenage years and you're like, you still want to control every little thing. And you're like, no, this is, they're coming to their free will opportunities in life. And it's like, okay, I have to let that go. And it drives us crazy as parents.
Right. And it does mean to setting some healthy boundaries. If people aren't respecting your no, if you don't have a time when you can unplug and just have some white space in your day and some margin in your schedule, then something's up. You're not learning healthy boundaries and when to say yes and how to say no. And so you've got to protect some time for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get to that red zone where you're out of control and you don't understand why.
I feel like you're talking to us right now.
What do you mean? Just because you have your shirt on? Your
No,
red shirt?
I feel like, again, we talk about this is an issue that we deal with all the time because, we balance life like everybody else does. And all of a sudden we're, one of the things that we are blessed by is the increase in our workload. One of the things that we are cursed by is the increase in our workload. And so we have to, we've had this discussion lately. Okay, we're going to have to put in some downtime or some think time or something different in here. But here's the deal, guys. That is in our control.
Yes.
We make our calendars. I could very well say, from this time to this time, that's grayed out. That's not going to be scheduled. And so whenever we have an opportunity like that, it is on us to take it.
Yeah. So don't sit around and go, well, I can't. It's, I'm not allowed. No one lets me. I mean, that's the victim. And so if you're not always going to get this right. We don't always get this right, but it start to swing toward that goal. And you're really going to find true freedom and true peace and true joy. And your no is going to have some weight to it because people respect it because they know you're not going to bend. You need this time. You need some healthy boundaries and parameters around your day and your schedule and your relationships. Okay?
All right. Very good. So in our challenge this week, as we close up, it's time to take a little examination of your life. The area, I would say with this too, in this challenge, you might have multiple areas that you're struggling or stuck in. Maybe you don't like your job and your marriage isn't good and blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm going to ask you to try to focus and pinpoint down on the largest thing, the biggest thing.
Squeakiest
right
wheel,
now.
I say.
Yeah. Go after that. Focus on that. For now, put the other things kind of off to the side. It's not that we're forgetting about them. It's just that they take so much energy. So identify that. Look at the variables that are involved, the people that are involved, the environment that's involved, all of the different variables, and really start having some opportunity to think about what your control is in that situation. And then you got to take it to God. All right. And you say, God, not my will, but yours.
Yeah.
What would you have done here, Lord? And when I say sit back, I don't mean sit back and do nothing. I say sit back and let him work in you. His Spirit will fill you.
Rest.
That's where ideas come from. That's where fresh energy comes from. We all the time, we have these things that happen to us like, all of a sudden, things are going better because we allowed it to go better.
Yeah. He is our wonderful counselor. He is our mighty God, and he sees you. He knows what you need right now. So turn to him. Ask him for direction. He will give it to you. So as we close this week's show, we just want to thank again our sponsors, Maxwell Construction and Casey's Outdoor Solutions. We so appreciate their support of Rock Solid Radio. And if this is a show that has helped you, could you please share it? Share it with somebody on your feeds or a private message. Let them know that this has been something that has helped you, and maybe you're going to be the one that helps someone else.
All right. Thanks again for listening to Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day.
Go Reds.
They need a fresh start. They need this. But we're going to cheer them on.
Actually, we should send the show to them.
We're going to cheer them on at least through the end of April.
Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Maxwell Construction, who has been our sponsor since the very beginning. For over 30 years, Maxwell has delivered the highest quality projects by holding to their core values of customer satisfaction, positive attitude, respect, and excellence. So if you have any kind of commercial construction need, give Maxwell Construction a call today at 812-537-2200.